Hey folks, Matt Easton here, Scholar Gladiatorius. So as you know, I'm a big fan of Indian clubs. Particularly for me, I've used it for rehabilitation exercises from wear and tear injuries that I've had from doing martial arts for over 20 years. And I have found Indian clubs great, but they're also, for me personally, I found specifically good for two particular things. That is grip strength and shoulder strength, and particularly for sabre and backsword and related things like that. These are really, really important things, so particularly for one-handed swords. But that being said, I think anyone can benefit from Indian club exercises, even if you're doing sword and buckler or longsword or poleaxe or whatever. It's general functional strength, and I'm a big fan of this kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with doing lifting conventional weights either. The two things can be done in conjunction, but Indian clubs are getting more and more popular and being used by all sorts of sports, including track and field athletics, but for things like baseball particularly and things like that as well. And of course, these are something which span several different martial cultures. So Persia and Turkey are famous for using these. India, giving us the name Indian clubs, certainly within the British speaking sort of sphere, the British Empire sphere, English speaking world. So India, Persia, Turkey, Afghanistan, and of course Britain, and from out there from France and USA and everywhere else in the 19th century. But going back into the ancient world, and of course there are similar exercises we find described as well, using clubs of various sort. And people have been, even in Japan, for example, been using a couple of heavyweight bokken for similar exercise, and equally in going back to baseball again, not something I'm an expert on by any means, but they obviously use, holding two baseball bats and doing certain exercises, similar kinds of things. But one of the things that Indian clubs specialize in is this continuous cyclic motion, which is quite gentle on the body if done correctly. It's not jerky, it's not abrupt, and so it's therefore lends itself, it's quite conducive to rehabilitation of joints, for example, and muscles. But these clubs I'm holding are from Stableford, who very, very kindly sent me down some more for testing and using, and for showing on the channel. So thank you very much to Stableford's. A link to their website below to where you can get these clubs in a variety of styles and sizes, and I've got a variety of styles and sizes here. So what's interesting is I've got a pair of these and I've got a pair of these, and you might think, well, these are lighter than these. Well, they're both £2 clubs, but one are shorter than the other. Well, why might that be advantageous? Well, quite simply, sometimes you might want a shorter club because you've got a smaller space to be training in. Or it might be because of the type of exercise you're doing, you want to have a smaller rotation on the club. So whilst as a dead weight, that is £2, and as a dead weight, that's £2, actually in motion, they feel really quite different because of inertia and leverage. So what's interesting is for swords people, you might often prefer a longer club, assuming that you have space, and I'm just about, I can hit the ceiling if I really stretch, but assuming you've got space for a longer club, you might find that you want a longer club because at a given weight, it actually works out your muscles more because you're dealing with more rotational or in motion inertia, basically, by having that mass further away from your hand. And that's, of course, something that even when we're talking about swinging a conventional stick around, or when we're looking at swords, for example, you have to remember is that dead weight is one statistic, but it doesn't tell you everything. You have to know about where the center of gravity of that object is and how long that object is, really to have a feel for how that will move. So yeah, these are great clubs. These are £2. So this is fairly light. These are fairly light clubs by sort of British Army standards. They tended to look at £4 and £7 clubs for most of their things, but these are the sort of clubs that were used for exercise of civilians in the 19th century and still today, and they certainly have a purpose. Now I do have also from Stableford's here a pair of £4 clubs, and these are actually what I prefer to use most of the time. £4 I think is a really good functional weight to be doing lots of exercises with, and it's really a good workout. And it basically means if you're looking at strength building, you don't have to do so many reps as you do with a lighter club. That being said, there are some virtues to using the lighter clubs. You can move them quicker, and therefore you can focus on certain different types of exercise which might be useful for swordsmanship or martial arts training that you're particularly doing. For example, anything that you flick the club out. So if we're moving around here, for example, flick, it's actually easier to get a quick flick with a lighter club, and you gain something from that fast snap motion because it's more similar to using a sword. This weighs £2, which is not dissimilar to some swords, especially when we consider that the mass of this is all towards the end, so it's actually balanced more like a mace or a hammer, or indeed a club, than a sword is. So you get something more sword-like out of the lighter clubs. So don't only think about, oh, I want the heaviest, I want the biggest, heaviest clubs because I'm super strong and I use £20 clubs. But there are different exercises. Just the same as you'd use different dumbbells for working different parts of your body, you use a different weight for curls to what you're going to use for working your deltoids, or doing this sort of thing. You'll use a much lighter dumbbell for that. Just the same as this, different types of Indian club exercises want different types of clubs. Anyway, go and check out Stableford's clubs. They're beautifully made here in the UK out of absolutely gorgeous wood, beautifully sanded. There's many different styles. These ones are ribbed for your gripping pleasure. Very important to have a nice big knob at the end there to stop your hand sliding off. When your hand's getting tired and your arm's getting tired, that's basically the thing that usually saves your windows or light fittings is that pommel essentially at the end of the club. But these are gorgeous things. Thanks to Stableford's for sending them to me. Check out the website, link below. I have never seen modern made clubs that are as nice as these. Yes, they come with a glowing endorsement from me, so go and check them out now. Thanks for watching. I will at some point be doing more Indian club exercise videos, and I'll be using these clubs there, but I'm not in the place to do it at the moment. I'm only just getting back into running my HEMA class after lockdown, but they are going to be proven very useful to me in coming weeks as my body starts getting used to regular martial arts practice again. Thanks for watching. See you soon for another video. Take care, folks. Thanks for watching. We've got extra videos on Patreon. Please give our Facebook a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Cheers, folks.